Aloha and welcome to Political Quickie, your political show that subjectively discusses current affairs in South Africa and all around the world. My name is Map Asik Amura. So today we are discussing the 7 aspirations of Agenda 2063. Now, according to the document, it is rooted in Pan-Africanism and the African Renaissance, and it provides a framework that deals with past injustices and realizes the 21st century as the African century. Now, it rededicates itself to the Pan-African vision that is an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa that is driven by its citizens and representing a dynamic force in the international arena. Aspiration number 1. Okay, so Agenda 2063 wants to build a prosperous Africa that is based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. Now, in this instance, they want to ensure that the GDP of Africa is proportionate to its share of the world's population and mineral resources. Agenda 2063 also wants to eradicate poverty in 1 generation and share the prosperity through social and economic transformation. It also wants to ensure that agriculture is modern, based on innovation, technology, and science, and therefore by 2025, the handhole will be banished in Africa. Africa will focus on the ocean economy, the development of that industry, as well as the exploitation and beneficiation of deep sea minerals and natural resources in general. Aspiration number 2 is an integrated continent, united politically based on the values of Pan-Africanism and Africa's Renaissance. Okay, now according to the document, the unity of Africa is motivated by development that's based on self-reliance and the self-determination of the African people. By 2020, all the remnants of colonialism would have come to an end, and all the territory under occupation will be fully liberated. Yeah. By 2030, the continent would have come to a consensus in terms of the form of government and institution that they want. Aspiration number 3, an Africa of good governance, democracy, and respect for human rights, justice, and of course, the rule of law. Now, this is self-explanatory, but the sentence or the phrase that got me in this particular discussion was that corruption and impunity will be a thing of the past. Aspiration number 4, a peaceful and secure Africa. Now, according to the document, right, the management of our diversity will be a source of wealth, harmony, and social and economic transformation instead of a source for conflict. By 2063, Africa will have the capacity to secure peace and protect its citizens and their interests through common defense as well as security policies. Aspiration number 5, an Africa with a strong cultural identity, a common heritage, ethics, and values. Now, according to the document in this instance, Pan-Africanism will be embedded in the school curricula. African languages will be the basis for administration and integration. And finally, African artifacts will be repatriated and safeguarded on the continent. Aspiration number 6, an Africa that is people-driven, relying on the potential of its people, especially young people, women, and of course caring for children. Now, inequality, discrimination, and marginalization of young people will be eradicated and the issues will be streamlined. Unemployment of young people will also be eradicated. We will have full gender parity with women occupying 50% of all elected public offices, and they will also occupy 50% of managerial positions in the public and private sector. Aspiration number 7, Africa as a strong, united, and influential global player and partner. The document affirms African unity and solidarity in the face of external interference, including in cases of, sanctions, undue pressure on some countries, as well as attempts to divide the continent. Africa will also continue to advocate for the reform of the United Nations, where Africa will have a seat as a permanent member in the Security Council. Africa will strengthen its common perspectives and partnerships so that we speak with one voice when we go out into the world. I think this is a beautiful document and it's a beautiful initiative. And it echoes former Ghanaian President Kwame Nkrumah's speech about, let's leave here with one government and one currency, speaking to the 33 independent African nations at the time. So I think it echoes that, and we kind of sort of headed in that direction. I think with the understanding that it's not going to take a day, it's not going to take a few weeks, it's going to take time. And with all the issues, the challenges that we're dealing with, from the effects of colonialism, the continuous oppression on the continent, the situation of the 14 African countries that's still paying colonial tax to France. And in that instance, screaming at France and being angry at France is not going to help us in any shape or form, because it needs us, all the African countries, to unite and support these 14 countries and get them to stop. Because if I were France, I wouldn't stop either if I knew that my economy depended on these 14 countries. And that if they stopped paying colonial tax, my country would literally slip into a third world country. I wouldn't stop. So the pressure needs to be on the other side, on these 14 African countries. Get them to stop. Support them to stop. Okay, stop screaming at France, because that's not going to help. So there are a lot of things that need to be fixed and to be considered, but the least that we can do is, as much as we can provide constructive criticism, the least we can do is be optimistic, okay, and be excited and believe, have faith and hope that this will work. Yes, we've got leaders that are greedy and holding on to power. Yes, beneficiation seems to be slow, its implementation. But let's be hopeful that, let's be hopeful that things will change and things will turn around through the implementation of Agenda 2063. Yeah, I'm excited, I'm hopeful. I'm a bit nervous and weary. Considering a lot of things, as well as the relationship that Africa has with China, just Djibouti alone, and that situation gives me a headache, but we shall see. Like I said, let us be optimistic. I love you guys. Use your talents to serve humanity, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.